Major support for these programs is provided by Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, and Perfect Building Maintenance, New York Community Bank, All Nation Renovation, Kilroy Architectural Windows, New York's Window Company, Greenberg Traurig, LLP, M&T Bank. Additional support is provided by AVR Realty Company, LLC, Ackman Ziff Real Estate Group, LLC, Bingham McCutcheon, LLP, Briarwood Organization, Capital One Bank, C.B. Richard Ellis, James Orphanides, Centurion Holdings, Cushman & Wakefield, Dimes Savings Bank of Williamsburg, Douglaston Development, DDG Partners, Eastern Consolidated, Hal Fettner, Durst Fettner Residential, Friedman LLP, Accountants and Advisors, Gemini Real Estate Advisors LLC, Genova, Burns and Gian Tomasi, Grubb and Ellis, Investors Savings Bank, Jack Jaffa and Associates Real Estate Consultants, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, Madison Realty Capital, Massey Knackle Realty Services, Meridian Capital Group, Margolin Weiner and Evans, LLP, Certified Public Accountants and Business Advisors, Newmark Knight Frank, RAL Development Services, The Spandrel Group, LLC, Siami Development, SJP Properties, Site Comply, Sterling and Sterling, Stephen Napolitano, The Wickoff Group, Urban American.
So they call it the Garden State. You know, it's close by. You got bridges, you got tunnels that take it over there. People from New York run there because you don't have to pay sales tax on your clothing. So what's happening in the Garden State of New Jersey? Today, I've assembled, with the help of my executive producer, who I'll introduce in a second, 4 people who really know what's happening in the state of New Jersey. My guests today include Barry Mandelbaum, senior partner at Mandelbaum Salisbury, Carrie Tafel, president of Hotels Unlimited, Eric Woodmont, CEO of Woodmont Properties. And last but not least, as I said, my executive producer today, my friend, Kevin Cummings, the president and CEO of Investor Savings Bank. So since you're the guy with the money, as they would say, and you lend to all these people and you do business, what's happening in the state of New Jersey today?
Well, a lot of good things are happening in New Jersey. The business climate is improving with the new governor. Unemployment is slow, but it's improving, and we're cautiously optimistic that things are gonna be better.
And what do you see, Barry? You've been in New Jersey for many years. You've seen different cycles. You've seen how do you look at this? You know, after this last recessionary cycle, as compared to today?
Well, this cycle has been different than other cycles. This was not a cycle created by high interest rates that we had in the late 70s. It isn't like the cycle in the early 90s where we had these thrifts that went public and supported a lot of projects that failed. There are segments of the real estate that are doing well, relatively well, and then there are segments that are not doing well. For sale housing is still doing very poorly. Banks won't finance it for that reason, and the velocity of sales are very slow. Office buildings have not rebounded at all. Retail is doing a little better. However, the big box stores are not renting again yet. And if they rent, they're paying much less rent. And as a matter of fact, they even want smaller amount of square footage. The 2 best segments of the market are multifamily and probably an office building, medical office buildings, anything to do with healthcare. Those are the only real good segments of the industry, as I see it.
So we have a man with hotels. You got 6 or 7 hotels in New Jersey, some really good locations. How do you see the hospitality market? It was the worst a couple years ago. It was the first to die. And now they said, especially in the New York City market, it really improved over the last 9 months or a year? How do you see it?
Yeah, I would agree. I would say in 2009 was when people were extremely careful and immediate cutbacks, and companies were stopping corporate travel or reducing it significantly. And I think things have improved. I think people are still cautious with how they spend their money. And while the occupancies have returned, rates are still down because there's so much more competition. People are shopping better. I think the same thing is true with banquets. We have at our facilities wedding halls or banquet catering facilities, and the same thing is there. People are getting married. They're still, having parties, but they either want more value for their dollar. We've done things such as wedding sales, and believe it or not, people will take advantage. People who have been engaged for a period of time, sometimes as long as 7 years, will decide it's the right time because the price is right. So I think people are much more price conscious than they have been.
Eric, you have a variety of different type of properties, but a lot of it's in the residential spectrum. How do you see the residential spectrum today? I mean, there are certain cities. I mean, Morristown, you had a great project that's done well, and other markets. How do you see the different areas over the state with regard to the residential market?
It's a great question because real estate, especially in New Jersey, is really a local market, and you have to understand what submarkets and what cities or what communities are really primed for development. And you could be just across the river and have a market that is ripe for development and one that is not. And we are seeing in New Jersey that multifamily housing, especially rental product, is the segment of the market that financing is available for and that is still seeing increased rents. The one project you mentioned in Morristown, we're now seeing suburban rents of $3 a foot a month in rent, which is $36 a year, which is the highest suburban rents that we've seen in New Jersey. The Gold Coast along New Jersey is a different marketplace. So we are seeing rental housing doing better. I also think the for sale housing market will be coming back because we've really reached a trough of new housing building permits. 19,000 permits have been issued the last 2 years in New Jersey. That's down from the high of 39,000 in 2005. So with the lack of new housing product coming on board, with the new housing stock eventually being bought, you're going to see a pent-up demand, again, for the right product, at the right price, in the right location, and you just have to be savvy to enter those markets.
It's a double question which relates to our banker over here. If you finance some of these people over the years, and I assume because Investors has been an active player, how long is it taking? Have you made, I don't want to say extend and pretend, but I mean, if you've dealt with a good borrower, how will you extend it until they can sell these units?
Sure, that's the economical thing to do. We get some feedback from the regulators on that with this TDR accounting, but for the most part, you got to do what makes good business sense, and then it really reflects on the character of the borrower. Is he going to perform? Is he going to do what he says he's going to do? We're not just kicking it down the road. We're working with our borrowers for the best economical solution.
The big news in town about New Jersey is this now urban tax credit. Panasonic moving 7 miles from Secaucus to Newark over there. I mean, what's your thought about it? I mean, it's a great incentive. In New York City, what we call it REAP benefits, the relocation benefit program, where a company, if they moved north of 96th Street or if they moved to Queens, or Brooklyn, they were able to get this benefit. But it was a benefit, with regard to certain tax credits. This is enormous, $102 million to Panasonic to move to Newark.
Well, New Jersey has a similar program to the REAP that New York has, which is called the BEEP, the Business Incentive Program. But New Jersey needs different buckets of money to be able to attract new companies and to retain new companies in New Jersey to keep the employment high. And we need that arsenal. And this administration is trying to figure out ways to be able to subsidize companies where the net benefit test, it's a positive benefit to the state, even though the incentives are given. And the Urban Transit Hub Tax Credit is trying to induce development in areas that have not seen new development before, to get new jobs created there that'll help all of the businesses, the hotels, and the retail establishments.
But the program is also, there are 7 cities. The program is good for Jersey City and Hoboken, where we've seen a lot of development over there over the period of time. Do you need to do that in the state?
Well, obviously, the state is taking the position we have to help our urban areas. And if we don't provide incentives, we're not going to be able to help them. So you throw money at it. It's no different than they threw money at urban. If you remember all the housing projects that were built in the cities, and unfortunately most of them are now ripped down because they ended up nowhere. We called it urban renewal in those days in the 70s.
So what happens now, with regard to certain cities? I mean, a lot of people are very positive. Booker's done a good job over there, but Newark is still Newark. I mean, you don't have companies saying, I want to move to Newark, I want to be in Gateway. I mean, but you don't see people moving out to Broad Street or something like that. And there's no urban retail. I mean, when I had Jerry Gottesman on my show from Edison a number of years ago, I said, what happened to Newark? And his comment was, it was called the mall. And when people went to Willowbrook, they left Newark. I mean, Newark had Klein's, Orbach's, Bamberger's. It had everybody. And you have a major presence now that you've taken over Millennium. How do you see the Newark market?
We have 4 branches in the Ironbound section and one branch on the other side of town, on the western side of town. And we think it's a great market to serve. It's underserved by the larger banks, and we see opportunities on the retail side. On the lending side, it's a little more problematic because they have problems keeping people, and the residential hasn't really come in yet. So there's no nightlife in Newark. You go to Hoboken, downtown Jersey City, there's a significant nightlife. We have to get that and create that in the city of Newark.
And I think this administration, and Booker himself, is really proactive with Stefan Pryor, who's the head of economic development, to create rezoning areas. And Jerry Gottesman has a huge investment in Newark, has partnerships with the Rockefeller Group and others to really spur new redevelopment.
So
and I think that will occur.
Eric, you're in Jersey. The family's been in business over there.
Right.
Looking at your website, I don't see saying we've been in Harrison, East Orange, Newark. You haven't gone to those cities. How come?
We need to first see the commitment of new housing. We don't want to be the pioneers in those marketplaces, and we want to choose our markets carefully. But I do believe there's a large pent-up demand for student housing that could be the catalyst to start new downtown housing.
I mean, Newark has more schools, law schools, undergraduate schools, and everything else. So
Probably 50,000 students going in
at
there
least,
every day.
Something
like that.
But you're right, there aren't restaurants. I mean, I did a show on Newark a couple of months ago, and they said, oh, Martini's open, so one restaurant opening, and John's Pizzeria is not opening because of the new tenant over there. What's happening of your hotels? You have some near Great Adventure, Jackson, others. Do they do better in the summer because of the amusement parks?
Yeah, I would say the ones that are close to Six Flags or close to the Jersey Shore definitely have an increase of occupancy in the summer months because of the additional traffic coming into those destinations.
I heard Ian Schrager speak recently, and we were talking about the Expedia, we were talking about the Hotels.com, and Ian made a comment that they are the demon because they take from the profitability. How do you, with 6 or 7 hotels, get additional? I know you have a corporate website that says Hotels Unlimited, but how do you get people to come to your hotels?
It's mostly driven by the brands. The brands are watching the the placements on the various demand channels, the orbits, the price lines, and whatnot, and they do most of that. Some brands are very restrictive of the franchisee, doing their own thing, and they want to control the imaging and the placement and things of that sort. So I think it is to some extent a demon, but by the same token,
It's a necessary evil.
it's a necessary evil. And if you have a product that's a good product, then you don't really have too much to worry about, because if people are able to shop wisely, they'll make the right choice.
Barry, one of the major businesses in New Jersey over the years has been industrial. You've seen, how do you see the industrial today?
Again, what Eric said, there are pockets in New Jersey where there is strong industrial. I mean, if you go in the Meadowlands, for instance, that's a very good industrial market still. You go along the turnpike around 8A, you have a lot of vacancies. Maybe it was overbuilt. Again, it's a question of location. I would say rents are stagnant. I don't think they're going up. You can still get financing for industrial if you have a building that has tenants. I think it's an okay market. It's you got to remember, most of the buildings are warehousing. They're mostly logistic buildings. We don't have manufacturing anymore, so.
We're very bullish, Michael, on the industrial market. We actually just started a new fund where we're going to be acquiring big box industrial space because we think that all of the retailers have really shed all their inventories, and that is what has created in New Jersey a huge vacancy factor. And now as business is starting to get better, inventories are increasing, which means they need warehouse space again. So we think we've really reached the bottom of the marketplace. As Barry said, the Meadowlands market is doing phenomenally well. You've seen some record pricing in terms of lease rates.
Yeah.
You've also seen a lot of industrial product come off the market, being converted to data centers, so that we've seen a lack of supply in the marketplace. And the right industrial buildings in the right location, primarily port-related industrial buildings, are going to do extremely well in the marketplace.
Here's the double question for all of you and also for our banker friend. I believe New Jersey's been one of the keen states, no joke on keen, with regard to solar.
Yeah,
You know, industrial, I think many people over there, if you put the solar over there, you were able to sell it over there. You know, have you ever financed the solar generation?
We just did the largest rooftop in Edison, a refrigerated warehouse building with office space in North America, I think. So we have probably about 75 million in solar projects under financing right now.
We recently completed a solar project on one of our industrial buildings, and on all of the buildings that we have, we are looking at solar. The problem with solar in New Jersey is uniquely positioned to do well in solar because we have SREC pricing, which is a renewable credit that you sell that's at an all-time high price. And between that and the federal tax credits, the solar works based on incentives. The key is going to be, can we get the price of the solar down and it keeps reducing of installation so that it works without all of the incentives? And that's going to be over the true test of time, whether we continue to see solar without the federal tax credit and without the SREC pricing.
Here's a question. You know, people, run to New Jersey, I mean, who don't live in New Jersey, because as I brought up before, the sales tax or certain other situations, or they go to the Jersey Shore and this and that. With gas prices going up to $5, what do you see with regard to hospitality, retail, and everything else?
I think it could actually be a good thing for hotels in New Jersey because people will not travel they won't take vacations that are as far, and New Jersey's pretty close to a lot of people from New York to Maryland, Delaware. So I think that if people take more localized trips and don't want to spend as much money, going to Florida or other major destination locations, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
it's a good thing for the New Jersey Shore, that's for sure. People just won't travel as far, which is a good thing.
I was going to write, and I probably will write an article about all the real estate people getting involved with the gaming industry or the horse business. Jeff Gural thinking of the Meadowlands, the guy who took over the Syrian people who took over Resorts Casino, and all the rest. How do you see Atlantic City was the first situation, but Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and Philadelphia has taken a major effect over there. I mean, do you see major work changes in the gaming? Will they go to places like Newark, perhaps, which could help the redevelopment, like they did in Yonkers? I mean, making Monticello.
Well, I know New Jersey's trying to pass a referendum, or they have it up for vote, to legalize again sports betting in Atlantic City. And that will change the face of Atlantic City if that happens. Now, whether or not that ever gets passed and whether or not we can get the federal government to allow that to happen. But that, I think, is up in November on the ballot.
We were bringing up,
Atlantic City, I think, is at an inflection point, though. It really, with all the competition that's out there now, it almost has to remake itself to be competitive.
No, I think Atlantic City has that problem because, with the gaming in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and the other cities over there, and I just read that Hartford is going to have there are going to be other cities over there. This is having a major effect on that. New Jersey, over the years, has had a lot of 55 and older housing, as opposed to New York with the 55 and old, they're for sale. What's happening now? They're in Plainsboro. There was many of them, in certain other parts over there.
That market has really been hit hard. It's really one of the hardest hit segments of the market. Mainly, the people that want to move out of their homes are shocked by the price and selling their houses. They think they're losing them,
So
30%.
so they can't move to the new house because they can't sell the other house.
Exactly.
Yeah. There was so much approved inventory of over 55 housing that the state reacted to it, and we passed a law that builders and developers who have not started a project but it is all approved can now apply to the planning board and almost as of right can drop the requirement of the adult housing, provided they set aside 20% of the units for what we call affordable housing, Mount Laurel housing.
Okay, but the Mount Laurel affordable housing, is that for people over 55 or for
No,
anyone?
no, it's all has to do with their economics, what their income is.
But that relates to a very important point, and I did this seminar in Long Island. How does somebody who is a young married couple buy something in the state of New Jersey?
Well, that's
I think that's the biggest problem. Long Island has this nightmare that they really have created certain next generation housing, certain incentives where they'll give you additional zoning. You can build higher and so on. How do you do that?
Well, New Jersey still has some great employers and some great employment opportunities with the pharmaceutical companies. We have some great hospitals and healthcare, and we have some great schools and education. And it creates a reason for people to want to live and bring up their families in New Jersey. And we still have a very good school system, although it's
No, I'm
taken a lot
not.
of
I'm not knocking the school
Right.
system. I'm talking about where does that 30-year-old.
Well, that's what Mount Laurel housing was meant to do. It provides housing. You can buy a house if your income is X. The market house might be selling in that community a townhouse at $400,000, but you can buy a house if your income is such for $200,000. I mean, it's basically set up to help teachers and firemen and other public service workers be able to buy housing in communities where the housing prices are twice what they're paying.
Is it accomplishing?
Yes, they sell out.
Yeah, and talking about that 55 and over conversion statute, we started an apartment project last week in Bridgewater, New Jersey, that was approved for 100 active adult 55 and over condominiums. And we went through the conversion statute. We are now building 80 apartments, rental apartments, and 20 COA units, which are affordable housing units, which will be much more affordable for civil servants that otherwise couldn't afford to live in the community.
I think the interesting, what will the prices be?
The pricing for the COA units will be on a rental basis about $1 a square foot
$12
a year, whereas on the market rate it'll be about $1.70 a foot.
And isn't the same thing true on those that are for sale housing?
And then those that are for sale as well. It's about half the cost. Depends upon the demographics. There's a calculation that's done, but it's about half the cost.
Right.
When somebody comes to you, we were talking briefly about it before, about retail in New Jersey. How do you look at it? Because, on a show that I had prior, some of the private equity funds were saying that the only way they'll look at a retail situation is they want grocery-anchored retail. Now, the interesting thing is there was a lot of grocery-anchored retail in New Jersey, which was A&P, Wallbaum's, and Pathmark.
Right.
Unfortunately, they all filed Chapter 11, and many of those leases were,
Actually, you got to look back at the sponsor and how much experience he has. Something anchored by a Costco or BJ's. I mean, they're pretty popular now. Target, things like that. And it gets down to location, location, location.
Now, Jersey City and Hoboken have been, I had Richard Lefrak once on the show, and I said, isn't it true that your father was so angry at Lower Manhattan, and one day he looked out and he said, Newport. And that's basically how Sam went over there. I mean, do we have any other cities that could grow in the manner in New Jersey like the Hoboken?
I don't think in New Jersey, because those cities and that peninsula is really the sixth borough.
Yeah.
It's really more
What
related to
about
New York
a
City than it is New
Bayonne,
Jersey.
Harrison? I mean, Harrison, you have the Red Bull Stadium. You know,
We're going to see growth in Bayonne and in Harrison, but not like you saw in Jersey City and in Weehawken and Hoboken because of the ability to commute to New York City and live in New Jersey. Those are unique opportunities.
There's some potential in some areas that you have to be on the train stop. You know, the main line into Midtown Direct. Towns like Rahway had a pretty good resurgence. There's a lot of potential in a town like East Orange, where we're doing some financing there. And if they get the proper leadership, towns like a Plainfield someday might come back.
now I think what has helped certain parts of New Jersey, even for this urban tax credit, is the light rail. You know, the light rail has truly helped. Now, I mean, it's been around in certain parts. I mean, they have it up near you in Short Hills?
No, they have it though in Bergen County a lot. It's been very helpful there, but not in the western suburbs.
Yeah, it's really helped what we call the sixth borough, which is
Yeah.
the Gold Coast, the Jersey City, Hoboken marketplace.
Where lower Bergen County you have it.
What about, weren't you building something like near Asbury or
We built a hotel in Neptune, which is not far from Asbury Park.
Long Branch? Were you building?
We have a hotel in West Long Branch.
But I thought I read somewhere that you were building 10 condominiums.
Oh, we have approvals for 11 units in Long Branch, right?
And how do you look at the Long Branch market? Because, I mean, my son got married there.
There's enough infrastructure that's been put into place by Applied in the Pier Village project, and I think that there's enough there that when people feel more confident, I think it'll get completed. I don't have those same feelings about Asbury Park necessarily because there hasn't been enough infrastructure put into place, but I think Long Branch is on its way to a great completion, and there's also talk of a pier. It's a 5 or 7 year down the road project, but a pier that's going to be taking people from Long Branch directly to New York instead of having to go to the Highlands, Atlantic Highlands.
But I think the ferries and the other situation have helped, you know, in Long Branch, I think, to the city and some other over there. I think transportation, or what Kevin brought up, is really keen. You know, if you're close to transportation, you have the convenience. I mean, because there was an article, and it's true, the Port Authority is over. You know, you can't get it in there.
And you started out with gas prices going up. And with gas prices going up, public transportation is key.
Well, you do see that Red Bank has come back because you can take a ferry from Red Bank right to Lower Manhattan. So you've seen gentrification in Red Bank.
So 30 minutes are up. I'd like to thank Barry Mandelbaum, Carrie
Typeville.
Teifel, Eric Wilmont, and Kevin Cummings. See you next week.
Thank you.
Major support for these programs is provided by Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, and Perfect Building Maintenance, New York Community Bank, All Nation Renovation, Kilroy Architectural Windows, New York's Window Company, Greenberg Traurig, LLP, M&T Bank. Additional support is provided by AVR Realty Company, LLC, Ackman Ziff Real Estate Group, LLC, Bingham McCutcheon, LLP, Briarwood Organization, Capital One Bank, C.B. Richard Ellis, James Orphanides, Centurion Holdings, Cushman & Wakefield, Dimes Savings Bank of Williamsburg, Douglaston Development, DDG Partners, Eastern Consolidated, Hal Fettner, Durst Fettner Residential, Friedman LLP, Accountants and Advisors, Gemini Real Estate Advisors LLC, Genova, Burns and Giantomasi, Grubb and Ellis, Investors Savings Bank, Jack Jaffa and Associates Real Estate Consultants, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, Madison Realty Capital, Massey Knackle Realty Services, Meridian Capital Group, Margolin Weiner and Evans LLP, Certified Public Accountants and Business Advisors, Newmark Knight Frank, RAL Development Services, The Spandrel Group LLC, Siami Development, SJP Properties, Site Comply, Sterling and Sterling, Stephen Napolitano, The Wickoff Group, Urban American.